And welcome to a special edition of Agents of Travel. I'm your co-host, Garrett Palm, a.k.a. Sticky Toffee Pudding.
And I'm your other co-host, Rachel Vanis, a.k.a. Secret Agent Panakukin.
And together we are secret agents working for the National Travel and Tourism Office.
Tato.
We're doing a special one-off this week. We haven't started a new season yet. But we took a little trip. I mean, not the big trip. We're going to talk about a big trip coming up that we took over Christmas. But we took a little trip within LA.
We took a metro down to the LA Travel and Adventure Show.
Yes, we did, at the LA Convention Center right next to Crypto.com. And it was a lot of fun. I got to see Rick Steves in person. I didn't get to interview him. I tried, but...
Huge.
I got to see him from a distance. That was very fun. There were booths. It was a 2-day event of kind of travel booths from around the world and from around America, too. Just kind of showcasing what they have.
Yeah, I was impressed. Even Lodi had a booth, which apparently the pitch is that it's the more affordable wine country.
Yeah. Who knew that that the Central Valley had a wine country?
Yeah, I didn't, and I'm from there.
Yeah, and this is not an event with like hundreds of thousands of booths. This was like it was like
there's Japan, Taiwan, and Lodi.
Yeah, a little more than that, but pretty close to that. Yeah, it was like Lodi. Lodi is gunning for wine. Sonoma and Napa, and Paso Robles.
Yep.
And maybe the Willamette Valley.
Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, but it was really fun. We talked to a lot of really interesting people. I feel like this is one of my favorite episodes because it's such a scattershot of so many different experiences and insights as to what makes travel awesome and what places to travel to are awesome.
Yeah. So what we did was we went around to the different booths. Some of them were just, kind of tour guide groups, or there was Wonderful, which is like a group of solo women travelers that get together. And so we interviewed people there, and we didn't do a full interview for each one because that would take forever. We had them pick a question and answer it. And then some of them, we also had them pitch us a trip. So this episode, that's what it looks like. Like a bunch of different people telling stories, and then a bunch of other different people, some of the same, pitching trip.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I hope people tell us what they were inspired by.
Yeah, if any of these trips get you to go somewhere, let us know.
I know there was one I'm particularly excited about.
Yeah.
So here's to guessing which ones those were.
Here we go. I'm here with Justa Lujwangana. Justa, what's the tastiest thing you have eaten on a trip?
Wow, the tastiest thing that I've eaten on a trip. I've eaten
top three.
Top three. I mean, you could also ask me what is the craziest thing I've eaten on a trip. Okay, the tastiest. It will be. Of course, I'm from Tanzania, so I will have to speak about like one of our delicacies from my village. This is a village by Lake Victoria.
Okay.
And it's by Lake Victoria, and the village is called Bukoba. And so in Bukoba, and I come from like the chiefdom.
Okay.
So like a delicacy of ours is grasshoppers.
Okay, yeah.
So whenever you visit like our village, if you arrive, how sometimes you arrive somewhere and somebody would like offer you water.
Yep.
You'll be offered grasshoppers. Yes, but it's like fried grasshoppers.
Okay, fried. Okay.
It's so good. It's so good and tasty, and it's like crunchy. It's almost like you're eating shrimp. With a little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay, so they put just salt and pepper on them?
Just salt and pepper, and it's fried in its own oil.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so good and tasty and crunchy.
How big are they?
They're like the tiny. So we're
The
very
tiny-
specific.
Okay.
There's different types of grasshoppers. So these are like green grasshoppers that grow. Of course, all grasshoppers grow in grass, but they come right after the rainy season.
Yeah.
We have so many of them in our village that they turned into a delicacy.
Yeah.
So whenever you come to like our village in Tanzania, in Bukoba specifically, grasshoppers, I have to have them. Craziest thing, I always travel with them to come back to the U.S. because my mom is always, you can't leave without bringing her grasshoppers. So grasshoppers that taste.
Here in LA,
Right.
we have a lot of Mexican influence. And there's a lot of grasshoppers in some Mexican cuisine. Would you say the grasshoppers in Tanzania are different?
No. You can't compare grasshoppers.
Yeah, okay, you can't compare.
Nope.
Okay.
Because these grasshoppers are literally organic.
Okay.
Because Bukoba is super tropical.
Yeah.
That's where they also grow coffee. Like we have some of the best, tastiest coffee.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like high in the hills.
Yeah.
So more organic than everywhere else, and they grow naturally. We just have to put like a light next to somewhere, or like go to the airport, like somewhere where there's light. They just will fly into your yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
And what does it taste like? Is it kind of nutty? Is it like
crunchy?
Crunchy. Okay. Crunchy, salty.
But like right now, my mouth is like watering because I'm like literally addicted to that senenes. In Swahili, it's called senene.
Senene.
Yes, senene.
Okay.
So that's why, like, I'm addicted to my senenes. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any other dishes that come to mind when I ask that?
So I think I tried frog before.
Okay. Did you like frog?
It tastes like chicken.
Okay.
Frog legs.
Yeah.
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
What else have I tried? I think I did snails, but like snails taste a little bit funny because we in our village, so we don't eat snails or like because I grew up in a village, so I'm gonna like so like we have fish, but we don't have the bottom crawlers.
Okay.
Seafood and all that. But like in Zanzibar, they have seafood.
Yeah.
But like in our village, we don't. So like that was one thing coming from the royal family. You're not allowed to eat the bottom crawlers. But you could eat just regular fish. So when I came here in the U.S. and somebody offered me snails, I was like, what is this? Like you can't
eat this?
You eat this? You can't be serious. But I did try out.
Okay. Yeah.
It was slimy.
Yeah.
But I was like, eh. But my mom, if I tell my mom I eat snails, she'll be like, no, we need to clean you up. Like literally. Because she's still very culturally oriented. Yeah.
So it sounds like you like food. Do you consider yourself a food-based traveler?
Listen, I love food. And I like to try out food from like everywhere, wherever I go.
Yeah.
Food is always a base. If I could be able to be connected to a chef who actually makes the food, I love it even more because I get to even like sometimes I'll ask for like what seasoning they have, and sometimes most of the chefs or some of the chefs will even have like seasoning to give you. So I will go home with it and like it's a particular recipe, and then I'll be able to try to recreate it.
Oh, so I've never thought about this. So when you have a dish you really like, you ask the chef for the seasoning pack, like a for them to make a little seasoning packet for you to take home. Right.
I mean, it usually happens like that, especially like in Africa. Like they always have like the chefs that I know, they always have like packed seasonings that they also offer. So yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Oh, if
that's
you're a
smart.
chef, you need to start doing that.
I know.
Yeah, like literally.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a good tip for chefs. Okay, cool. All right, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
It was great talking with you.
You too.
All right, I'm here with Kay. She is the communications manager at JNTO Los Angeles. And Kay, I have one question for you. If you could step into any moment from your travels anytime you wished, which quintessential perfect moment would you pick?
So I think I would go back to when I first moved to Japan as an exchange student. I went with my host parents to experience a hot spring for the first time, which is a really quintessential Japanese experience to have. And we had gone into the mountains in Fukushima Prefecture, and it was I want to say January. So it had just started to snow. And I remember going into the outdoor hot spring bath and sitting in the hot water, and it started to snow.
Yep.
And there was just snow falling all around us, and I remember being kind of half in and half out of the water and having this wonderful temperature equilibrium and just being surrounded by this winter wonderland, but feeling so comfortable. And it was one of the most kind of calming moments of my life, and I refer back to it so much. Even when I got this position during my interview, I brought it up, and they were like, this is a very Japanese experience. Yeah. So I think if I can go back to that calming moment anytime that I wanted, I would.
It really is one of the greatest feelings in life. I mean, sitting in hot water, did your hair freeze?
No, it was, thankfully it wasn't, going up to Hokkaido or being in Siberia level, but it was just kind of that perfect, the snow's falling all around, but we're in this really nice hot water, and it's just perfect temperature balance, and it was so lovely.
Have you gotten a chance to go back to that spot?
I have gone to close by places because that area is Higashiyama Onsen, and it's a very popular hot spring area. So I did go to a different ryokan in that area, but I think about it every time. Every time I'm in a hot spring, I'm always like kind of chasing that experience. Yeah,
we did. My partner and I did that 2 years ago over Christmas up near Nagano.
Oh,
like
wonderful.
Sitting in a ryokan, like outside in the outdoor ports. Yeah. It really is an incredible Japanese experience.
Careful in Nagano, you might find a monkey.
Oh, we went and visited them. Yeah.
Sometimes they go into the hot springs where they're not supposed to be.
Oh, okay. I've been attacked by a monkey in Japan,
Oh no.
So I was nervous when I went up to see the monkeys in the hot springs, but they're totally
pretty
cool.
docile. They're very used to humans.
They're very cool. Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Alex Trupp with Taiwan Tourism. Alex, hey, how are you?
Not bad.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
There a local custom you've observed while traveling that you've implemented or wish you'd implemented into your daily life?
So this is something that's quite unique to Taiwan, is it's incredibly safe. I've lived there for 16 years. And something you will notice is if you go to a food court or any other kind of restaurant where with their sit-down service, people use their phones or their wallets and they reserve their seat by putting it on the table. It's so incredibly safe. You don't have to worry about simply leaving something there. You could leave it there an hour, it will still be there. No one's going to steal it. It's honestly like the safest place on earth. So by comparison, I want to say about 2 years ago, I came to LA and we were going to a restaurant and I wanted one of the outside tables. I was wearing this nice Uniqlo jacket, like a denim one. I put it on my table, or just on the table I wanted. I turned around, I'd say 10 seconds, and it was gone.
Yeah.
And then about 5 minutes later, after we'd got our food, I saw this homeless guy wearing it crossing the street. I was like, he probably needs it more than me, but I'd say that's a custom I've adopted, having lived in Taiwan so long, that you'll see just happen everywhere. And honestly, I love it for that. Just, you don't have to worry. I'm from London in the UK originally, and whenever I go back to London, I'm walking with my hand on my butt, protecting my wallet, so that there's no pickpockets or something like that.
Yep. I have one more question for you, if it's okay.
Sure.
So you've been living in Taiwan for 16 years.
Yeah.
So when you first got there, did you expect that would happen? What did you fall in love with Taiwan that made you stay?
So I lived in mainland China, in Shanghai and Guangzhou, and also in Hong Kong before. One of the things I felt immediately when I came to Taiwan was a different level of safety and comfort. I don't want to talk bad about our neighboring lands, but when you don't trust in the government to have your best interests at heart, if you want to say build a life for yourself, then that can be a problem. So that's something that I immediately felt comfortable, and I just felt at home. It's not necessarily for everyone. If you're looking for an expat community like Singapore or some places in Hong Kong or Shanghai perhaps, but I specifically wanted to feel like a stranger in a strange land, experiencing new things. I had studied Mandarin Chinese at university, so that was one of the things I was looking for. Was I don't want to be in a bubble where I'll be lazy and I'll talk English. I want to be forced into it. And while you'll find in Taiwan the younger generation have all studied English to some certain degree, and they're not afraid to try to communicate with you even if they speak zero. Whereas in my experiences of traveling to Japan and Korea, it's more likely they will run away scared. Oh, a foreigner's approaching. Don't talk to me. I'm too embarrassed at my poor level of English. Those are great countries to explore for sure. But
yes, totally. We love
in Taiwan, if you're lost or something like that, then someone will come up to you and approach you asking, "Are you okay? Are you lost?" And I've heard so many stories of this where they actually then like take you in their car, or they'll walk you. They're not just pointing you in some random direction. They will take you to where you're going, even if it's somewhere far away. They're like, "Hey, come along. I'll take you. I'll take you on a ride." It's like they'll go out of their way, change their whole day's plans.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from multiple people. So just so friendly. And even if their English is very poor, they'll find someone like, "Hey, do you speak English? Can you help this guy?" or something like that.
Oh, that's so great. Cool. Well, thank you so much,
Okay,
Alex. Thank you.
I'm here with Kai of the Wonderful Group. Kai, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kai Bumad. I'm a travel and content creator, a travelpreneur actually, and I have a travel company called Afia Travel, and also Passport Bohemian is my blog.
Amazing. Thank you so much for talking with us. And I was wondering, so if there is there a local custom you've observed while traveling that you've implemented or wish you'd implemented into your daily life?
Yes, there is one. When I was in Morocco, I was in Casablanca and I went to do a traditional hammam body scrub, and it was like amazing. It was so culturally interesting, and it was like $3 to like go inside the spa. And so I went inside there. It's not really fancy. It's just like a local spa. You go inside, you take off your clothes, and there's a woman that meets you in there. Mm-hmm. So I went in there, and she's telling me to like take off all my clothes, everything off, and I'm just like, okay. And then so I get in there and I take off all my clothes. I'm sitting down in the spa, and then she comes back with like a bucket of water, and she just throws it on my head. Like, it was super hot, but I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. I'm drenched with a bucket of water, and then she takes my arms and she's just like pulling me this way, scrubbing me all down, like the whole body. And I was just like, and then she comes back with a bucket of water, splashing it in my face. There's little kids in there with their like mom. This is like a women's only. So little girls with their moms are getting scrubbed down. They're getting their hair washed, and she's just splashing me with water. And I'm just like, this is insane, but it feels so good. She scrubbed me down. I felt like amazing. I slept that night like so good, like a baby.
But it was so intense that it's kind of like what you might get at a K-Spa a little bit, where you're like seeing the dead skin literally coming off, or
it wasn't that intense. It wasn't that intense, but like it was like scrubbing where you feel invigorated, you feel like awakened. But I wasn't like hurting or like my skin was burning or something like that. No. But it was just like it felt so good, and then like. It was just, I can't explain this experience. So when I got back home, actually they use a soap. It's called, it's like a Moroccan black soap that they use to scrub you. And so when I got home, my husband's from Morocco, by the way. So and he was like, this is a soap that you can get. And he was like, we got it online. So I got it. So I use it at home now. So because of that experience. But
and you've had a beautiful sleep every night.
I know, right? It was so cool. But that initial, like the bucket of water on my face was hilarious. I was not expecting that. I just thought that like somebody was going to come out and get scrubbed, but she just, here comes the bucket of water and just throws it on you.
Have you considered implementing into your daily life throwing buckets of hot water at people?
That's a good one. Yeah, probably. Yeah, if somebody, they get on my nerves, I'm gonna throw a bucket of water. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
yeah. You got the soap.
Yeah, I got the soap, and like it's great for your skin too. So I really love it. Clarifying. It makes you feel so good. You sleep like a baby afterwards. So I implement that.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Kai.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome, guys. That was so fun.
Thanks for having me on. I'm Leah, also known as LA in Flight. I am the co-host of award-winning travel podcast, ticket to anywhere. I'm also an event manager for Wonderful, obviously, and I'm a content creator and a travel agent. So kind of wear many different travel hats.
Okay, great. You're the perfect person for us to be talking to then. Okay, so Leah, could you tell me about what has been your biggest fish out of water moment?
Yes, I actually think it was the last time I went to the Philippines in November 2023. And at time of recording, we're like Feb, a year and a half later. But, you know, I'm Filipino American, grew up in the States, connected to some of my culture, but never went back to my parents' country growing up. So finally exploring it with my extended family, visiting them there in the Philippines, but exploring it on my own, without my parents, as an adult, in my own identity, and realizing that, oh, I am very American, and my family is very Filipino, and the two countries couldn't be more vastly different in terms of like customs, culture, how we interact with our families, timeliness, like different standards of everything.
Can you go into the timeliness?
The time, I mean, we call it Filipino time, and it's just, I've noticed, and I really don't think anyone would not get offended. I'm not offended by this, but like, they are on time if they are getting paid, and I get it. Aren't we all?
I love that.
But if it's a social event, like how early or on time do you really need to be? Like, you're there to celebrate. And so it's a running joke that like if the party starts at 7, it actually doesn't. It starts at like 9 or 10. And people will like drip in.
Were you getting there so early to every social engagement? Like,
no, I mean, I would be ready at like 6:50, and then I'd wait around for another 2 hours because I'm like, well, what if today we are on time? And that was never the case. And there are so many more instances where they were like, all right, Leah, we're going to go on a tour at 10 a.m., meet in the lobby 9:45, and we didn't leave till like 2 p.m. I would have
lost my mind.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on my own tour. I was losing my mind. I was like, I'm going to go on my own tour. And I literally had to have a talk with my dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know whether to be kind of on time or kind of late, or if I should explore on my own next time, because like, to be honest, sometimes when it's situations like that, I was like, I'm only in the city for one day, and that's a waste of a day for me.
Yeah, you felt that like sense of urgency, which like builds resentment so quickly.
It does, but it's just like there's a night culture there, and that things go late, so they would have found the time for whatever they needed to do, and it's so different from how we live life here in LA and California in the States. Like, it's so different.
How did you feel about the realization itself? Like, did it make you feel like you took more ownership of being American, or was there like a sense of grieving about it, or like how did you process it?
Oh, it was really hard. Honestly, for like a week and a half, it was really hard. I wanted to bang my head against the wall and I wanted to scream, and I was like, should I leave? Because I'm so frustrated. But then I took a step back because I'm like, why are you so frustrated? Like, you're in their country.
Yeah, and you got to play by their rules.
Yes, 100%. And I'm like, or what if you can just slow down? Because like after this, you're going back home to the States where everything is timely and rigid. So why not just chill while you're on an island and, on the east side of the Philippines, enjoying, the waves and the sun? Like, why are we so in a rush and so frustrated? I think sometimes it was just, I was told one thing, another thing happened. And I think that's also, I mean, this is going to deeper level. I won't get deeper into this, but a lot of times they won't say anything until it's like for sure happening. So it's like, well, what time are we leaving? And they're like, we'll let you know. As to not be like, well, you said we're leaving at 10 a.m.
Yeah, and then they're like, we're leaving right now, and you're
exactly.
like, what? Crap.
Exactly. So had to learn how to kind of adjust on the fly and teach myself. Like, I had to learn how to self-regulate a lot.
Yeah, well, and did you find that like by the end of the trip, you kind of like unclenched a little bit, or like were able to go with the flow a little more, or were you more like, actually, I've accepted I'm just a more timely and rigid person, and I'm going to have the trip I want to have?
I think it was the former, where I had to like let go a little bit and find a good balance, to be honest. Because even here, when I'm here, I look at me amongst my social circles, and I'm definitely not early or the first one to anything. I take my time with things too, but I'm also not like get to the party 3 hours late. So I'm kind of like a decent middle, and it's just straddling the line between like having this Filipino culture that I know so well and growing up with it a bit, but then like I'm a product of my American environment, right? Like being pretty timely or a bit early. And so balancing
You're Filipino American, you're both things.
yeah. And then just identity-wise, like there are a few things that like they would like let slip or pass, or things that were okay with them that I was like, I don't want to do that, or I don't identify as that. And it's not even serious stuff. It's just, I don't know, small things. I can't even think of them right now.
Okay,
but
I was about to ask.
Yeah, like pretty small identity things that I'm like, wow, like even more glaringly like, wow, like I am not Filipino. Apparently like they all like this. It could be like some type of fish or some type of food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, that's not me, you know? And I'm like, oh, and it made me sad sometimes because I'm like, oh, if I don't think I'm Filipino, like they probably don't think I'm Filipino if I'm not. So it was really like an identity crisis sometimes.
Yeah, it's who am
an
I?
An identity crisis in paradise, right?
Yeah. They're the best places to have
Yeah,
them.
I guess so.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Leah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm here with Akemi. Akemi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Akemi Rico with @Akemi's Adventures on all social media.
Perfect. So, Akemi, what is the first trip you went on that really turned you on to travel?
So my first international trip was to Mexico, right out of college with a couple friends. We stayed in hostels, we slept on the beach, we hitchhiked, we did all these things. But a memorable moment was on the overnight bus from Mexico City to Oaxaca, when I had this really strange dream that I went back home, and then I woke up in my room at home in my dream, and I was like, what am I doing here? I'm supposed to be on this trip. And then I woke up again on the bus, and I was like, where am I? Oh my God. And I kind of panicked for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it kind of like just threw me. It was like that knowledge that I was so far away from home. It was the furthest I'd ever been. And I was like still on the bus. I was still moving.
Yeah. There's nowhere for you to go.
Yeah. It was dark. And it was like such a moment of being outside my body, of like being in a place that was so unfamiliar. And I just like that feeling of fear and anticipation and excitement. I just got hooked. And so from then on, that's what I look for. I go to places where people don't act like us here in the Western world. I love India, Nepal, like seeing cows on the road, or just like the way people live differently there that's so normal for them that I'm like, what is happening? Like, I just love that feeling, and that's that moment for
like
me.
chasing that adrenaline rush, or chasing the
Maybe.
like, oh, I feel like I've just woken up from a dream because things are so different from what I'm used to.
It could be that waking up from a dream moment, but like it's reality.
Yeah.
And one of the things about life that I understand is like it could be so different from a different perspective. You know, here I am, you know, like a model minority in Los Angeles, but when I travel to another place, like I'm looked at differently.
Yeah.
And I see other people who look like me, but who could be in a totally different place in their world. And I just love seeing that difference. I don't know, adrenaline or...
yeah, it almost sounds like the multiverse or something in a way.
It
where
is,
you're like,
yeah.
That's so cool. I love it.
Because I get that feeling too of being someplace where people are so different from me, and I what is it? I think it's, for me, it's like, yeah, like I think he said, like different ways of living, to express humanity, to be a human being.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many like variations of human.
Exactly.
And it kind of frees me up to see that there are variations of being human that are completely different from the way that I do it.
And totally fine.
Yeah.
And normal and work.
And all of it's right and normal and great.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, Akemi.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. I'm here with Pauline Fromer, the publisher of the Fromer Guide series, the only female-owned guidebook series.
Yes.
So, Pauline, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you could step into any moment from your travels, anytime you wished, which quintessential perfect moment would you pick?
Well, many years ago, when my younger daughter was about 15, I, and a friend of hers went to Colombia in South America. And they didn't want to do this with me, so I did a salsa tour of Cartagena where we learned how to dance salsa, and then we went to 5 clubs. And I was the oldest person in the group, and I am not usually I'm an okay dancer. I can't touch my toes, but I so loved being out among people, just reveling in the joy of being alive, that I stayed out till 5 a.m. that night. I was the last person from the tour. I said to the guide, is it okay that I'm still here? He's like, I love this. This is great. And we went to all these different clubs, and at the end of the night, as I was walking home at 5 a.m., which you're really not supposed to do in Cartagena, but oh well, I'm a seasoned traveler. I thought, this is the moment I have to choose to remember when things are going wrong, because I had a night filled with such joy, and I met so many people who put up with my crazy bad Spanish, and it just felt like the essence of being alive.
Yes, I love that answer. Do you salsa still?
No.
Okay, that's okay. The memory is still there.
The memory is still there. I'm not a very good dancer, but people were very kind to me.
Yeah. And so, tell me about that moment. So you were walking the streets of Cartagena.
Walking the cobblestone streets.
People waking up? Or
there was almost nobody on the streets, and the sun was about to rise, but it was at that darkest moment, and there wasn't that much light, and I really should have been scared.
Yeah,
but I was still on such an endorphin high. I just thought, I am the luckiest woman on the planet right now.
I love those moments of clarity in travel, just where you see how lucky and just how great the world is.
Well, yeah, and to just be part of that culture and to have connected with so many people and just to have danced all night at the age of, I don't know, I was probably 50 at the time, it just felt great.
Thank you so much. That was a great answer. Thank you. All right, I'm here at the Brazil Pavilion with Monique. Monique, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, so nice to meet you. So I'm from Rio, and I've studied tourism and been in this market for over 15 years since I was really young. So I'm passionate about tourism, and I run a business. It's called Terra Brasilis, Sustainability and Experiences. Based in Rio, but we operate the whole Brazil as an incoming tour operator.
Cool.
Okay, and our Instagram is at It's Terra Brasilis.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. What was the first trip that turned you on to travel?
Well, when I got in Brazil, you can get into a public university if you do really well. So I did this exam and got free university for 4 years. And so, as a prize, my parents would give me a study abroad program for 3 months in New Zealand. So why New Zealand? Because for me it was really mystic, the idea of knowing Maori culture. And my friend said, oh, do you know you are at the beach but you can see the snow on the top of the mountains? It's really amazing. And I was so curious to do that. So I decided to go to New Zealand, which was like nearly 24 hours flight.
Yeah.
It was really traumatic just to get there.
It's a good thing you're spending 3 months.
My feet was like, I was in the boot, like the one I'm wearing now. You guys can't see, but I'm wearing like really tight. When I got there, I couldn't fit. My shoes were so swollen. And it was really traumatic just to get there. But everything went well. I did a combo program that was I would study in both islands, North and the South. And then after exploring the North Island, I decided to go to the South in this another study abroad program, English program. And then when I got there, I was so excited. I'm from Rio. People knows that there is, of course, know about the safety. Everything happens in Rio, and so I was like, I'm in New Zealand. I'm a carioca, which is from Rio. I'm a carioca. I'm here. Nothing's gonna happen to me. So we decided to go to the sightseeing, like in the middle of the mountains. And then my friend was with a car, and we don't have any. No black windows, I don't know how to say that in here. So like the car was just unlocked, and then you can see through. So we went to this mountain. The car was just there, and then my bag was there with everything, and just with my camera, watching the sightseeing. When you got back, my bag wasn't there. And then simply as I was 19 years old, I was carrying my passport and I was carrying my debit card, travel visa, travel money card. And then I got in the car and I was like, in this country, there's nobody in here, like really empty country. And then I was like, where's my stuff? And then we kept walking around, we couldn't find it. And this teenagers guy probably that was around got our stuff and then threw everything through the hill down, and I saw like my blush, my makeup all thrown away, and nothing about my passport and my travel money card. So I had to go to the police station and say I got robbed. I don't have any money because I have only this debit card. And then they say, don't worry, let's call. This is probably teenagers that are gonna use your passport because you're 19. There is 18 is the they already an adult, I would say. So we're gonna find it. I'm like, okay, this is New Zealand, this is the right country. They're gonna sort it out. And then I went back to my school, and then I went to call Visa, and like, Visa, please, can you please send me a new card? I'm overseas. And then they said, oh, it's going to come in 7 days. Like, I cannot be here 7 days with no money.
I know. So what did you do for 7 days?
Oh, my gosh. And then I had this angel, which was a friend, like, don't worry, I just can give you for now and then until your card is here. So this, I pray to him until now. Like, he's a great guy. But Felipe, where you are, I'm praying for you. So, and while I was calling the Visa, I saw this light like banging, like left and right. Like, this is shaking. The building's shaking. Like, what is happening? While I was calling Visa, there was happening an earthquake at Christchurch City. And I was like, Jesus, I have no idea. Never seen this in my life. We don't have earthquake it was a tragedy. It's like, and then we had to run all the way through the top of the building and the bottom of the building, and then it was like a war. It was a tragedy, but happy that nothing happened to our friends.
Yes.
And then I was homeless for 1 day because my house was completely broken. And then we were transferred to another city, which is called Queenstown, a few hours from Christchurch. And then no card, no passport, no house, nothing, just a bag. And I was 12 hours time zone difference from my original home.
Yeah.
So I called, and at the time there is no smartphones, no nothing.
Yep.
I used to communicate with my family by email. And then I said, Mom, don't worry, you're going to hear in the news tomorrow that something happened, but I'm okay. And that was it. And then that was the toughest, but I had nobody to sort it out. My English was really poor. And I don't know, great people just support us as good as they could. And that gave me the courage to just keep going.
So this is the story that made you want to travel more. Yeah.
Yes, and everything went well, and like as a travel solo, like almost a teenager.
Yeah.
But this gave me the strength to just keep going. So women, don't give up. Just keep on going. There's great guys in the world. Don't be like. Yeah. There was people really respectful, really nice that they gave me all the support. And then I couldn't get another passport, so I had to go to the embassy, and I find out that you can have the authorization to go back to your country.
Okay.
So I had the authorization to go back to my country, and that was it. That was what a journey. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about travel is that when you go through an experience, I've never been through like a major earthquake like that while traveling, but like still like having those experiences that you prove to yourself that you can make it through, that you are alive, that you are survived, and nothing bad happened to you, and it just gives you courage.
We cannot swallow here. Like, you cannot say bad words here, can?
What's that?
Can we say bad words in here?
Oh, yeah.
Shit happens,
Yeah.
you know. So shit happens. So
and you'll be fine.
And we have in Brazil, we have this like everything happens on the trip. Like don't say that's not gonna happen. Like it's traveling. It is a kind of challenge.
Yes.
Because you're out of your country, you're eating different food, different people, different nationality, different culture, everything. So just keep your mind open and embrace everything that comes, and you know what's crazy? This partner that I had a roommate at the time.
Yeah.
She was with me during this crazy, and I was here in LA yesterday, and I made a video that was here, and then this girl that studied with me 15 years ago, she like, oh, you here? I'm just in the booth beside. She's in Japan booth.
Whoa.
Dressed like actually Japanese, and then after 15 years, I met her just here.
Wow. Did you guys hang out last night?
No.
Yeah.
We just met this morning.
She's
right
wow.
there in the red clothes. It's like after 15 years. You know how crazy we took
That is, yeah.
I think it's in the other phone. I'm not sure. It was crazy. Look how life it is. And then we been together. That was the photo at the time, like this girl.
Wow.
We were like 2011. This is the guy that helped me the most.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem
who you pray to?
I pray to.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, and she's just there.
She's
just, oh my gosh.
That's another thing I love about travel is that you make friends all over the world, and then
she's Japanese, you know, like we're completely different. I'm so outgoing. I'm so so Brazilian, so spontaneous. Rather than she's absolutely different from me as a culture, but we are really bound as a friend. You know?
I love it.
Yeah, if she comes here, I'm gonna show you. It's
okay.
the cutest. It's the cutest. Yuzu, she's right
there. Okay.
Yes.
Joshua, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, well, welcome to all your listeners listening in. I'm Joshua. I've been with Colette for over a decade, and we are a fully guided escorted tour company. We've been around for 107 years, the oldest in the world, and we do escorted touring to all 7 continents.
Cool. And you guys have a podcast, or you?
Yeah, we have a podcast with Colette. It's called Travel Unpacked, and it's a chance to just kind of listen to different stories from around the world, and we produce different content throughout the month.
Cool. So, Joshua, I'm going to ask you 2 questions from our roster of questions. First question, what was the first trip that turned you on to travel?
Yeah, so, growing up, we did a lot of travel by our car. Like, we would drive across the country, and it was always piqued my interest, but the real destination that really drove me home to travel was my first time out of the country with Colette. They actually sent me to Australia. So can you imagine actually being like, this is your first trip overseas, your first long international flight was to Australia, but it was amazing to land there and to see. It was easy in terms of they speak English, I speak English. So it was kind of a nice way to kind of break into that international feel of travel, but to be there, to dive into the culture was phenomenal. So it was Australia, New Zealand, and it's just so exciting to go.
Yeah. I love Australia. One of the things, like the wildlife, like it really hammers home that you are somewhere, like just hearing different birds.
It is. The animals, the koalas, and kangaroos out in the wild. As I'm on the motor coach and they're just out there, just like squirrels are running around, Boston.
Yeah.
The kangaroos are just out there in the wild.
Off the side of the highway, there's a pack of kangaroos.
Exactly.
Where you would normally see deer or,
Yeah, and then one of the best parts of that, we went to Phillip Island, which is a little penguin island, and they actually come out of the water, and you just watch them parade across the sand dunes because they know exactly where their home is. So they come out of the water all together around the same time, and they all travel back to their own little homes, and they know exactly where they are, and you just watch them, and they're tinier than regular penguins, so they are little penguins, and it's so amazing to see that.
Oh, that's so cool. How long did you spend in Australia?
So it was almost 2 weeks for Australia and New Zealand. So I did Melbourne, Sydney, and then we did the Northern New Zealand, which was phenomenal from Rotorua, Auckland, Queenstown. Definitely need to go back because I heard the Southern Island is really one of the most beautiful portions of that part of the world.
But that's the great thing about travel is you can always go back.
That is.
You can always go back to the country. There's always more to see.
There's always more to see. I say it's a tasting. I got a tasting of it.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Okay, so I have a second question for you. And no one has chosen this question. So you're the first one to answer it at the show. Joshua, what tourist attraction lived up to the hype?
So I think for me, it would have to be when I went to Egypt. You grow up reading about Egyptian culture and the hieroglyphics and really learning about, Queen Nefertiti and Cleopatra and King Tut. And when you're actually there, standing in front of the Pyramid of Giza, it's phenomenal. It's hard to explain because you read about it, you see it in the books, but when you're there, it's just so real. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to, ride a camel while I was there around, the pyramids, and then get a chance to actually go into the pyramid itself, which, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I'm not claustrophobic, but that one made me a little claustrophobic because you're walking up, it's very still, it's very, not a lot of noise, and people are walking down, but to get up to the top, it's surreal to actually be standing in there and say, wow, this is where, this was built so many centuries ago, and this is where, the kings were buried, and it was phenomenal to do. And I would say that one lived up to all the hype, and even more so.
Yeah, there's something about learning it, this thing that you learned about, one of the first things you learn about in school, and like see photos of, and just to see it in person, and to know how old it is, it's just mind-blowing.
It is, and I think that's what's so special about travel. I think people travel, and the reason why I travel is you want to immerse yourself in the culture. Yeah. You broaden your horizons. You open yourself up to new ideas, to see a different way of life, and that's what travel is about. To me, it's about learning and respecting different cultures and being able to take some of that back with you home and hopefully spread that around with your friends and your community.
Are you usually a person that wants to see the sights as well? Like the tourist attractions do appeal to you usually, or?
I like a mixture of both.
Okay,
so, of course, I love, if you're going to go to Paris, I want to see the Eiffel Tower, right? You want to see the classics, but then you want to go off the beaten path, which is why I love Colette, because that's what we do. We go to places called secondary cities, and you get to meet the locals. Cool. When I was in Peru, I actually tried guinea pig because I went with a Peruvian lady. She actually created or, made that dinner for us, and that's a delicacy for them. And she made that for us. That was actually Ecuador. She made that for us, and I got to try that in her home. Yeah. And that was an experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right, so we just heard a bunch of stories. Real quick, what's going to happen next is now you're going to hear all the pitches. And there's nobody's choosing which one they want to win. These are all great pitches.
They're all perfect. They're all winners.
They're all winners. But, go ahead, listeners at home. Listen to these pitches and email us which ones you want to go on.
I do love the idea of telling listeners to listen to the podcast as a director.
Give it a try.
Give it a try.
Give it a shot.
Try listening to this one.
So my name is Kay Allen, and I'm the communications manager for JNTO Los Angeles office. And I think if I had a week-long itinerary for somebody who's been to Japan before and kind of done the Tokyo and the Kyoto of it all, I would send them to a really magical island in southern Japan. It's right off the coast of Kagoshima Prefecture. It's a part of that prefecture. And you have easy access from Tokyo, fly into Kagoshima Airport, and then you can take the ferry to Yakushima Island. And this is actually the island that inspired Princess Mononoke, which is Studio Ghibli film. And it inspired the movie because the entire island is covered in these really magical Jomonsugi cedar trees, some of which are 7,000 years old or more. And everything's just covered in moss. The locals joke that it rains 32 days out of the month, and so it's just this beautiful rainforest. And you can do hiking on the island, and the island itself is kind of an anomaly because even though it's in a subtropical part of the country, it's actually a temperate zone on the island, so it does snow during the winter. You have several endemic species of animal there, including the Yaku deer and the Yaku monkey, who they have no natural predators on the island, so they have this symbiotic relationship, and you can find sometimes monkeys riding the deer, and the monkeys will pull fruit off of trees to feed to the deer and vice versa. So it's just this very magical place. And you have also loggerhead sea turtles that will nest and hatch on the island as well. So you can go down to the beach and see the remnants of little baby sea turtles that have crawled back into the ocean. It's just a magical, magical place, and I would recommend going and staying in Kagoshima for a bit, going to Sakurajima, seeing that volcanic island that people live on, and then going and staying a few nights at Yakushima Island, and there are beautiful hotels there as well. The other cool thing about it is the locals treat the island kind of like a clock, because it is a pretty naturally round island, and so they'll use that to say, it's stormy at 2, but it's sunshiny over at 7. And you can even find clocks that are made of the cedar trees that show all the different landmarks on the island. So it's a very magical place. I highly recommend it.
Cool. Thank you so much. I got to go there.
Hi, my name is Justa Lujwangana. I am from Tanzania, East Africa, but I also live in New York. I run an experiential travel company for millennials. Reason being for millennials, because we need to travel, we need to see the world, but nobody else is catering to us. And for me specifically, Tanzania is home. So I like to be able to showcase somebody, even to my best local restaurant, best food, best activities that I think they're really good. So that's why I created Curious on Tanzania, specifically for people who are curious on knowing more about this specific country, Tanzania. So for the 3 tours, which are some of my favorite tours, for the 3 tours we have, the first one is a women's retreat. And the women's retreat basically is, I'm a woman, so I love hosting fellow women, but we are very much, it's an experience where you get to know about yourself, but then you also get to learn about the country with other fellow women, from yoga experiences to culture experiences to dance experiences to food experiences, to just relaxing on the beautiful beaches of Zanzibar and just thanking the high power of giving you this experience, and it's all in 10 days. So that's an experience that happens every October, and I invite every woman to be able to join that experience. You come back a better person. And for husbands and boyfriends, highly recommend your partner to be able to join this experience, because they'll come back a whole different person and you'll be a happy camper. So the other experience that we have, I'm a foodie. I love to eat. So we have a culinary experience. The culinary experience happens every November. And this culinary experience, basically, you walk through Tanzania with a vision of what is food in Tanzania like. So the influences of food in Tanzania, for example, I would say Tanzania is... we have mixed cuisines. So we have between Indian cuisine to Swahili to Tanzanian cuisine itself, to it's so much mixture of different things that you have to come in a country to be able to taste it, from the local chefs all the way to the experts, but also just the street food. Just test out all the street food, meet other fellow foodies, food writers. It's just it's an experience where, of course, you go on a safari and enjoy the beautiful safari, but also meet the bushmen who will teach you even how they go hunting. Because that's also food at the same time. That's an adventure that you want to go on. Teach you about the herbs. How are they able to treat themselves when they're in the middle of the forest? It's also part of food. It's also part of the culinary experience. For those who have never met a bushman, this is a perfect experience for you to come on and experience what food is to them and how it looks like. So that is the culinary trip that happens every November. And then the last experience that I have, this is it takes you, it's an educational, it's almost think of it as a study abroad program, but you missed doing a study abroad. And now you're almost in your 30s, in your 40s, but you want to go and experience to kind of learn about the cultures, learn about just like be immersed into like another country that you have never had an opportunity to be able to visit, but this is your opportunity to be able to visit. It's a 10-day experience also that brings you to like the capital, which is Dar es Salaam, and you mingle with fellow Tanzanians. It's very focused on millennials also. Mingle with like Tanzanians, nightlife experience, the culture experience, the creativity. If you're like, let me say for example, a musician all the way to a writer, all the way to a photographer, it's like this is a perfect experience of like, I've been to Tanzania. You'll be able to experience that way. Of course, you finish it off in Zanzibar, beautiful beaches, learn about a lot of history. You will literally come back as a person like, yes, I did go to Tanzania, and it's almost like I did do that. Kind of like a study abroad program without the credit, but like the world will give you the credit. You don't need the credit from anybody, but like this experience, it's like well worth it. So that is an experience that happens every August. In this experience, we do invite students, we do invite their parents to come with them, and also just creatives from around the world to be able to experience it. So those are the three.
Hi, I'm Alex Trupp with Taiwan Tourism, and here's my pitch for a Taiwan Dream Trip. So I would say typically most people don't think of Taiwan as the first Asian destination they want to visit. Usually, there's some larger, more popular countries that people would like to visit, but what they're not realizing is that Taiwan has the best of many of those Asian countries combined. So, for example, there's a lot of obviously Chinese culture. We have the most Chinese antiquities in the world, more than China, due to how history worked out. When there was some government handover, let's say, the best stuff made its way to Taiwan. So in the National Palace Museum. So I'd say that's one of the first places to check out if you're interested in history and culture as soon as you touch down in Taiwan. And then basically you can travel from north to south on the main island using the high-speed rail. Is one of the great things. It's like a Japanese bullet train. Takes you about 1.5 hours. So you can go down the west coast of Taiwan doing that and stopping in each of the major cities as you go. And each of those cities has these kind of docked, they call it U-bike systems, which is a bit like a city bike in America, so that you can use those very easily and cycle around those cities. They're all super safe for doing so. And you can basically cycle around Taiwan in a week. Taiwan's one of the largest producers of bicycles in the world. Giant bikes and Merida bikes are made in Taiwan, and those are two of the most popular bike brands. So they actually have stores all around the island that you can even just rent a bike, like a pro level road bike or mountain bike, and you can cycle around the entire island. Taiwan Tourism have itineraries on their website for about like a week to maybe 10-day itinerary that you can do that.
Cool. What are some cool stops if you're biking?
So I'd say one of the things to check out is the Foguanshan Buddha Museum. It has a giant golden Buddha statue and these 8 huge pagodas in front of them. It apparently has one of the best vegetarian buffets in the world.
We're vegetarian.
I'm vegetarian too. So Taiwan's actually great for vegetarians. So there are a lot of these buffets, vegetarian buffets, because of the Buddhist culture and things like that. So, and it's so cheap. Like, I mean, if you're a vegetarian and you're enjoying this, then food in Taiwan is so incredibly cheap. You'd be looking at just several dollars per meal, and one of the best things, there's no tax added afterwards, and there's no tipping. Like, honestly, they will find it weird if you tip. They'll be like, what are you doing? You're paying me too much. The number is written right there. So, they calculated the cost of labor into the food. So,
cool.
I'm going to start off with saying my greeting in Choctaw and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll leave that all up to you.
That's
cool. All right, go right ahead.
Halito Sahachifo Yat Marcus Bob, Choctaw Nation Atuxalili. Hi, my name is Marcus Bob. I'm from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. We are here at the Travel and Adventure Show in Los Angeles, California, and we're inviting you to visit us in Choctaw Country. Choctaw Country is in the southeast corner of Oklahoma, which is an hour and 15-minute drive of Dallas Love Field Airport or DFW International Airport. Just a quick hour, 15-minute drive if you leave Dallas before 3 o'clock.
That's important.
Yes.
Yeah,
so my time frame would be from 9 a.m. to 2:30, because you got to get to the airport, get your vehicle rental, and then head out of Dallas. Get out of Dallas. After 3 o'clock, there's no promises made.
Cool. So what? Once they get to Choctaw Country, what can they expect?
So once they get into Durant, I would definitely recommend staying the night at our 4 Diamond Resort. It's called Sky Tower. It's non-smoking, very beautifully made. It's been open for about 2 years now. There's movie theaters, bowling alleys, over 20 different restaurants. Not very many people might be in the gaming, who knows, but at 18 years and older in Oklahoma, you can actually game. You still have to be over 21 to drink, but anyway, just have a good night's rest there at our resort in Durant, and then the next morning you can start your day off at our cultural center. And our cultural center opens up at 10 o'clock. So I recommend having an early lunch at 11 o'clock at the cafe. It's traditional food there. It's called Chompali Cafe. Chompali means delicious in Choctaw. There's a few traditional meals there that you can have and enjoy, and there's other meals if you're not that adventurous.
Can you describe a couple of the traditional meals?
So my personal favorite is called the Chutta plate, which is Choctaw. Chutta is the non-English version of Choctaw. Choctaw is an English word. Chutta is the original pronunciation. So Tanchi Labona is it's a type of corn or hominy soup mixed in with salt pork. Oh, cool. And we use a lot of salt pork. Pork was introduced in the 1500s with our relationship with the Spaniards and things like that, and the cattle, the beef. But Tanchi Labona is my favorite soup kind of meal. We have this cornmeal consistency of a tamale. We call it banaha. It's a cornmeal, and it looks like a tamale. It has no flavor whatsoever. So you mix it with the salt pork, and you mix it with the beans, cool. And that's how it gets its flavor.
Cool.
So after lunch there's videos, there's interactive things at the cultural center. We have a temporary exhibition, and then we have a permanent exhibition. I don't know what the temporary one is at the moment, but it's world class. We won the Cultural Center Experience of the Year last year for American Indigenous Tourism.
Awesome. Congrats.
So that's one day. That'll take care of your... The reason I'm saving, I want you to take an early lunch is I want y'all to have our, not our, there's a Mexican restaurant called Villegas in Durant. And I had fajitas here. Yeah. It was mostly vegetables. I had to find my meat. Here at this place, I order what's called Juan's Fajitas. Bacon, cheese, beef, chicken. You can have combination or you can have beef or whatever. But like me and my wife, we eat off of one single order of Juan's Fajitas. It's authentic Mexican food.
So you're saying the Mexican food in LA doesn't compare to the Mexican food in Oklahoma?
Not for price, not for quantity. Yes,
okay.
Like you will be blown away.
Okay.
Like I lived in Houston for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and like I saw Juan's Fajitas and it was just crazy. So
okay. So saving your
supper for Villegas off of 9th Street in Durant.
Okay.
It depends on how long you want to stay in Durant, but I would make your way toward Broken Bow because Broken Bow is our largest tourist destination area. There's a great exhibit in Hugo. It's called the Endangered Art Foundation, and we have the second largest Asian elephant sanctuary in the United States.
Whoa.
So the circuses used to winter in Hugo because our temperature is mild temperature. And so there's a cemetery for circus performers in Hugo called the Showman's Rest. So that's kind of a neat little...
Yeah, like
to know.
Yeah.
Even these elephants, you can interact with them. So it's more than just going to a petting zoo. Like you can interact with these elephants. You can rent a cabin there, and those elephants will actually bring the food to you. It's an experience that you'll not have anywhere else.
Yeah, that's
so you definitely could stay the night there in Hugo. There's other options in that area, but we're making our way towards Broken Bow to nature's beauty. They call it cabin country. There's over 3,000 Airbnb and Verbos located in that southeast corner of Oklahoma, and ranging from $100 a night to $4,000 a night.
Wow. Okay.
Like one bedroom to houses up to 20 plus people.
Wow.
Very extravagant.
Yeah. I'm looking at the photos right now. They're beautiful.
I would definitely recommend avoiding the weekends if you can, because Dallas, Fort Worth knows all about us.
Okay.
And so there's more Texas tags on the weekend than there are
Oklahoma tags. Yeah. So this park.
Yeah, once you get to Broken Bow, it's nature unleashed. There's hiking trails. You can fish, you can kayak, you can jet ski, you can boat, just whatever you want to focus on that day. You can rent motorcycles, you can rent ATVs, you can rent your jet skis. It all depends on what you want to focus on.
Okay, cool. And what's the terrain like? It looks like it's pretty like rivers and lakes. And
yes. So
rolling hills.
Probably rolling hills. So the Ouachita Mountains from Arkansas bleed into that eastern part.
Okay.
We call them mountains, but from here, no. But there is change in altitudes.
Yeah.
Like the lowest point in the southeast corner is 189 feet, but it goes above 2,000 feet.
Okay.
So there's changes, but they're not mountains out like LA's used to mountains.
Yeah. Cool. Any other spots they should hit up or?
So you can spend literally a few days in Broken Bow. Like if you want to do the lake one day, do the lake. If you want to hike one day, there's trails from easy all the way up to hard. So it all depends on what you like to do. And if you want to be more primitive, I would work your way up to Robbers Cave State Park.
Oh, cool.
This is what that picture is right there.
That's beautiful,
Cave.
Like that overhanging
Robbers Cave
rock.
was made famous by Bella Starr and Jesse James. Those outlaws would go hide out there, hiding from the law. So there's an actual cave there that you can go see, and it's very beautiful.
Okay.
Very beautiful.
And any of our listeners that are hiding from the law, you recommend it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it would be more primitive than they have less amenities than Broken Beaver's Bend. So if you want to be away from more primitive, Robbers Cave would be the one to go to. So Reba McEntire, she opened up her signature restaurant in Atoka.
Yeah.
So making your way back to Dallas, you can stop by there for some lunch. It's good Southern cooking.
Cool.
Fried food. Oh, I don't know. Like some people eat really healthy. We don't in Southeast Oklahoma.
Well, yeah. When you're traveling in Southeast Oklahoma, you should eat like Southeast Oklahomans.
Yeah. Okay, so if you stay at any of our resorts in the Choctaw Nation, you can use this discount code. It'll give you 40% off your first night stay. TASLA25. TASLA25. That'll give you 40% off your first night stay. So technically, you can stay in Durant the first night and book a room in Broken Bow the second night, and you'll get 40% off your first night stay. That's several $100s.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Thanks for stopping by.
Can you pitch me on a week-long trip to Brazil? Or 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so go.
That would be better.
Okay, go ahead. Reintroduce yourself. Say your name and who you're with, and then pitch me on a 2-week trip to Brazil.
So I'm Monique from Brazil. I run a business which is Terra Brasilis. I studied tourism. I'm passionate about this field and been over 15 years in this journey. And we are incoming tour operators specialized in ecotourism and sustainability and experiences as a general in Brazil.
Cool.
And
2
weeks would be the ideal because we are a continent-sized country. We have 6 biomes, so it's so different each place. So it's not fair to say just one specifically biome. So we would start from Rio.
Okay.
Like Rio is our entrance, is how you feel the vibes about a Sugarloaf, Christ the Redeemer, the samba environment, the caipirinhas and all that, the sunsets. And I would go from absolutely different environments, either Iguaçu Falls, We have the border with Argentina, so shows a little bit how is a South America environment, and then starting from to go up. If you wanna, after that, nature inside, after seeing the waterfalls, you could go to Pantanal, for example, Bonito and Pantanal, where you see the safaris, most animals, wildlife like lions and so on. You can see in there. You can see in Pantanal, and. After that, I would go further to Amazon. This could be, you could spend like 2-3 days between those places, so you still have time. And Amazon, inside the jungle, get to know the Black River, the pink dolphins, and the indigenous culture and food, which is one of a kind. People don't know, but in Amazon has one of our favorite food, acai, which is worldwide known, is from the region. Also, the fish tastes like, we have a fish that tastes like pork. It's unbelievable.
How does that happen?
Yes. You, because the fat of the skin,
Whoa.
The skin is really fat.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Whoa.
It's one of a kind. And it's not as complicated as people think. It's really easy to get through. Like 1 hour and a half, you'll be in the middle of the jungle, from the city to the jungle. So. And then I would finish definitely at the Road of Emotions. The Road of Emotions encompasses our nature park, which is a desert with water. It's a desert with like 1,000 kilometers square with rain lagoons. So it's a crystal clear water. It's not salty. It's like a lagoon in the middle of the desert. So Lençóis Maranhenses is the name. Is one of a kind. And then you could go the Road of Emotions. So you cross the 3 states. Knowing all these dunes area, so it's dunes and beaches, and you can just walk. You don't need any shoes. Like you can be in the gendos the whole day because in the middle of the dunes, and finalize at Jericoacoara, which is the last stop of this Road of Emotions, and have some coconut water by the beach and get to know the wind activities over there. So this way you'd know at least 4 biomes of Brazil.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Oh, thank you. It was lovely.
And that's a wrap.
Then that's a wrap. We don't have any winners or losers to talk about. But, oh man, I want to go on some of these trips.
I know. I don't know if I should. I almost don't want to say the ones I would go on.
I mean, I would go on all of them, but
I would honestly, yeah. Although, honestly, listening to the Tanzania one, I was like, oh, that could be like a really great trip for my sister and I.
Oh,
and then
that's cool.
Listening to the Taiwanese trip, I was like, wow, that feels like exactly what my body wants, both in terms of food and in terms of physical activity with the bike riding.
Yeah.
And I love tea.
Yeah.
But then the island in Japan where the monkeys are riding deer, it just feels so surreal and magical.
And Rachel, you did a little bit of research on that island, and you have something to report.
I'll say that something crazy about those monkeys is that it's actually very feminist, because apparently there are reports of the female monkeys grinding on the backs of the deer's necks and getting off.
Yep. So this magical island is secretly horny.
It's kind of like the Wonder Woman Island. Super empowered female monkeys who ride deer.
So, I mean, I'd go on all of these trips, but yeah, those were 3 cool ones. But I also want to. I mean, I'm a vegetarian. I didn't want to tell Marcus that I was vegetarian, but those fajitas do sound fun.
I know. I was so curious about them. Although he emphasized quantity so much that it made me worried that the quality wasn't.
He sent me a photo later when he got back.
How'd it look?
It looked pretty good.
Okay, yeah. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You want me back?
Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will have some more episodes coming out soon. And yeah, until then.
Safe travels?
No, what was the motto I was trying to get?
Bye.
Bye.